Hello, today I'm going to talk about Yohji Yamamoto Autumn-Winter 1985 Catalogue. Marc Ascoli is a French art director who has worked with some of the greatest designers and brands of the last 40 years, most notably Jill Sander, Martine Zepon, and Yohji Yamamoto, and photographers Nick Knight, Craig MacDean, David Sims, Max Vadukul, and Paolo Roversi. His work with Yamamoto has had particular resonance, creating some of the most impactful and enduring images within the lexicon of fashion photography. Ascoli's catalogs for Yamamoto produced an innovative way of fashion communication, stepping outside of the tradition of shooting a lookbook where the photography is mostly used for documentation. Ascoli's approach with Yamamoto was to, quote, discern a unique approach to the critical choices made around the conceptualization and production of the catalogs. This resulted in oversized formats, experimental photography and art direction, and images which celebrated mood, ambience, and the essence of the fashion, as opposed to carefully capturing the clothing as clearly as possible. Ascoli began working with Yamamoto in 1983, producing his first catalog for the Fall-Winter 83 collection. For Fall-Winter 84 and Spring-Summer 85, he worked with then nearly unknown photographer Max Vadukul. Those catalogs were black and white, energetic, and urbane, but there was a shift with this Fall-Winter 85 catalog shot by Paolo Roversi, a shift which would form the template for what we know as Yamamoto's fashion imagery. Roversi's approach was to remove the Yamamoto woman from the bustling streets and into the studio, where she becomes our sole focus. Her demeanor becomes cool, direct, and self-aware. Yamamoto and Ascoli would continue with this approach going forward when they began working with Nick Knight the following season and for the many catalogs that followed. From the very start, we are greeted with the shock of red on the cover. This color gives us a clue as to the striking photography within. Although there was some color in previous collections, it was very little, as Yamamoto had built a reputation as a designer focused primarily on black. So, with the very first picture, we are greeted with an emerald green jacket. But even more surprising is the red lipstick applied to model Sasha Richardson. Yamamoto has always been vehemently against any displays of traditional Western bourgeois representations of femininity, particularly high heels and red lipstick, so Richardson's crimson pout comes as a surprise. Ascoli said that he was never given a brief by Yamamoto, so it must have been a surprise to Yamamoto as well. This collection was clearly inspired by an elegant gentleman's wardrobe at the turn of the 20th century. Yamamoto feminizes the tailcoats and long shirts, creating looks that are distinctly androgynous. This masculine-feminine dialogue would later be adopted by Anne de Meulemeester, of whom Yamamoto has said was his spiritual daughter. Richardson's haircut and defiant stare recall the look of 1930s photojournalist Anne-Marie Schwarzenbach and Romaine Brooks painting Peter, a young English girl from 1924. Although Yamamoto explored color and prints for his Spring-Summer 85 collection, for this collection, The color was singular, saturated, and vibrant. The reds were particularly strong. Roversi also colors the images in green, red, and blue lighting, creating avant-garde makeup in the process. Ascoli was quoted as saying, "We flooded that girl in light." The final picture is the first image from Yamamoto to make the leap into the canon of great fashion images, an image that is well known by many and endlessly referenced. In other words, iconic. It is an image which, like so many others from the house, serve as a font of inspiration, thanks to the talents of Marc Ascoli, Paolo Roversi, and of course, Yohji Yamamoto.